Hello and welcome to the IEP Toolkit. I'm Lisa Kirsch Satawa from Kirsch Daskas Law Group, and today we are going to talk a lot about distance learning. In the most recent days, many of our Michigan school districts have decided to go with all distance learning or virtual learning. Some of the private schools are doing an in-person option or an at-home virtual option, but it seems that most of the public schools are going all online. So I think it's really, really important for the IEPs to address distance learning. The problem that we run into is when IEPs were contemplated originally. This is just another one of the problems that COVID has brought to our extraordinary students, and that um, that is that we don't necessarily have the ability to provide everything to the student when they're at home. And so, in addition to all the other complications, that's another one. So, um, basically, what has occurred is that can't even pronounce it. Merrimack College did a survey of almost just under 1,000 teachers and asked the teachers what could make distance learning better. How can we do a better job for students? How can we ensure that they have not only the access to education, but that they're also learning? And there's basically three things that the survey uh, highlighted, and that was parent engagement, syn- synchronous, and asynchronous strategies. So that's what I wanted to talk about today because these are now considered best practices for distance learning. And so, with this in mind, when you are working on the IEP for fall, when we have the distance learning requirements, hopefully this can all come to the attention of the team and you can implement accordingly. So, the first thing that under parent engagement that the survey talked about was an initial remote IEP meeting. And it's really important that parents are asking for that IEP meeting, even if your renewal date wouldn't be until December. December will probably be too late. We talked about yesterday and the day before, how we have difficulty because we don't know the present level of achievement of academic achievement that our children are at right now. And the bedrock of an IEP is starting where the child is now and then developing the objectives and goals that are going to be measured for progress to then get them going forward to whatever the final long term goal is, whether that's college or vocational school or living independently or whatever it is. So um, I think it's really, really important that when you're talking about having an initial remote IEP meeting, that everyone is prepared. And the my ebook, the IEP Toolkit, can help everyone to do that. And it will be released very soon, and you'll just be able to put in your email and it will come right to your inbox. But some of the things that need to be addressed in an IEP meeting are are having conversations about the learning environment and making sure the team knows at home where your child is going to actually be engaging in school. So are they sitting at the kitchen table? Are they in a room by themselves at a desk? Are they in a room where their siblings are also doing school? If they're not in the same room, are they in different rooms but they can hear each other? Are there headphones available? Is it going to be on a phone or a tablet or is it on a computer? These are all really important things for the team to know in order to help bring those accommodation supports and other helpful tools into the learning model for your child. Um, Accommodations can include frequent breaks, changing seating or rooms, using different sensory tools, fidget spinners for focus, the stress balls, the clay, the little magnet sand stuff. Kind of a mess, but it does work. Um, and then if ways to reduce distractions, motor breaks, is gum allowed? Are we using a reward system or not when we're doing work at home? If so, it should be very similar, if not identical, to the one that was used in the classroom. Remember, children with special needs thrive on structure, similarity, schedule, organized expectations. They do not do well with surprises, randomness. Um, so that's going to be really important. Another thing that the survey of teachers showed with under parent engagement was the importance of having weekly check-ins so that the accommodations can be changed if necessary. So appointing, one person from the team who parent is going to check in with each week, or if it's going to be each individual teacher, is it going to be a group email that mom or dad or whoever's supervising the learning is going to send to a whole group of all the teachers? What's going to happen once that information is conveyed to the educators? That needs to be spelled out, and then if changes are made to the accommodations, is it going to be an amendment or a correction or an addition to the IEP? Because remember, as we talked about yesterday, depending on what you call it, is determines whether or not it can just be added or without a meeting, or if you have to have a meeting. Parents can always waive the meeting, but the law does require any modifications to, depending on what they're called, anything that changes the IEP has procedure and process and notice requirements. Goal setting. So the you want to pick IEP objectives, one or two of them each week to focus on with your students. If you have too many goals, too many assignments, too many expectations, it can cause a child to become overwhelmed, and that will cause failure and it will diminish student motivation. One of the number one things that the surveyed teachers said is that the key is to keep the child motivated, keep them excited to engage. That is the critical thing. Also, they pointed out that service delivery participation is very important. That's how they're going to get occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech and language therapists, and the way that those specialists have deemed that kids benefit the most is to have parent involvement. And um, many of them have developed some fun new strategies that include parents so that parents can be involved, or it could even be an older sibling. It could be anyone. I know a lot of parents are working while all of this is going on, and so um, they're not always able to engage as much as they would like to. But certainly, that's something that the IEP team should be aware of. Um, it's when you're talking about this parent engagement, it's really it's a great door opener to the team relationship and the significant role that parents play on the IEP team. Remember, do not defer to the team. You are the number one person on the team. Super important. Okay, so let's move on now to, I really don't like this word, synchronous strategies. And that's spelled Synchronous, if anyone wants to Google it. But basically, we're talking about times when a, a child is either um, working or learning with other people. It could be the source of education, it could be other students, it could be, of course, it would all be virtual, not in the same room. But um but so we're going to talk about how those students stay engaged. um, and And you also have to remember that probably none of this is the child's preferred way to interact with their friends or to learn. So we're already at a disadvantage at trying to inspire, academia before we even start. So by individually tailoring these types of synchronous activities to things the student likes to do or has an interest in is always going to increase productivity. So, for example, a child loves sports. You want to kind of make all your activities have some sports element to them. So, perhaps if we're learning to count, you can take the popsicle sticks and you can put team A and team B, whatever their favorite teams are. And then you know, you can say, okay, so the score is, 3 to 15, and have them count out the popsicle sticks. You can engage them into coloring them the team colors, and then you can do, is there more or less, greater than, less than, make it more tactile and more experiential and more fun. Um, there is a great website called wheeldecide.com. It's WHEELDECIDE.com, that is all about these synchronous strategies. Other things are virtual book club. You can have students, you could suggest that students dress in character. You can have them act out parts of the story. And it helps with comprehension as well. And that's why the teachers thought that that was a really great learning tool in the survey. Other things are um, that when the online learning is beginning, it should always start with something fun or engaging, whatever it is. It might be, something as simple as asking whoever's in the class to go into the chat or the comments and put in what they had for lunch. It's just engaging them, it's getting them ready to interact. And that's always going to be a good thing to hopefully have a successful learning time. So then there's the asynchronous strategies. And again, if you want to look that up, it's Synchronous. And those are things that are done independently, things the student does on their own, not when they're necessarily engaged with someone uh, you know, by media. So again, students love structure. So it's great to create a schedule. And it's a schedule that would be, assignments, expectations, subjects, websites, books, other materials, if you're going to be using a map or you're going to be using a magazine, um, and 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 then you can use those things to you know for pacing time, working at a timed pace, planning, organization, task completion, and some functional skills. So that's all really helpful. You should incorporate into the schedule, according to the survey, movement breaks. and what's going to be happening during the movement breaks. Are, is the child going to be drawing on the driveway? Are they going to be, running around the block? Are they going to do some sort of obstacle course? Are they going to do Simon Says game? Um, and have different movement activities throughout the day, depending on how your child learns best and who's the person who can tell the team how your child learns best, when your child learns best. Some kids learn better in the morning than they do in the afternoon. Very few do their best work right after they've eaten lunch. That's why nap time is usually then for smaller children. And so that's, other things to keep in mind that you as a parent can convey to the team. Um, there can be recorded video instructions for students. And again, if you are going to have uh, video instructions, that has to be something that's in the IEP and it has to be part of the goal. There should also be something in there about how completed work is accepted. Is it emailed? Is it Is it through text? Is it taking a picture of it? Is it a paper copy that's delivered or mailed somewhere? Um, and what the timing is. Is completed work going to be turned in every day, every Tuesday, Tuesday and Thursday by a certain time? Um, just making sure that there's deadlines and it's very carefully defined is going to be helpful for your child. And the last thing that this study of over 1,000 teachers and what would make distance learning better, that they talked about was the need for everybody to be themselves. Parents, you're parents. You're not teachers. You're, very few of you have been educated in education. For those of you that have, that's a bonus. So the number one, one of the big things they said, it wasn't number one, but it was a big thing, was that parents need to be a little easier on themselves. And their children will learn, they will make progress, and this is an imperfect system that we are learning from every day. We are in unprecedented times with unprecedented and unplanned challenges. And so it's really, really important for everyone to be patient and remember this great relationship that you are establishing with your child, whether you can actually do their math or not. I certainly could never do my kids' math. And that's why I became a lawyer. But anyway, we will make it through the pandemic and our children will learn. So the last thing that I just wanted to cover today is just to bring it to your attention, and this is probably coming soon in Michigan. But in California, they have pending legislation, it's SB 98, that actually requires IEPs to include distance learning provisions. I think there's great guidance um, in the meetings to talk about, some of the challenges um, and what needs to be addressed in the IEP meeting. In Michigan, some districts won't do it at all. Some of them will. Since schools have made this announcement that this is going to be the way it's going to be, I think that they're going to have to include distance learning provisions in the IEP, regardless of what our state law mandates. Remember that the IDEA uh, did not get suspended or modified in any way by the CARES Act. It is in full force and effect, and every available learning tool and access to the curriculum that a general ed student is absolutely required to be given and provided to an extraordinary student or a different learner. So there is no relaxation of those requirements, and it is absolutely positively a violation of FAPE, the free and appropriate public education, if children are not getting access to the curriculum that they personally, individually can work within and obtain and benefit from. Just being given accommodations. If they're not the right accommodations for your individual student, they don't count. And that is being denied favor. So with that, I will wrap up today. Here we take a different approach to different learners, and we're doing IEP reviews, helping parents figure it out every day. Happy to do it for you too. Just reach out. Phone number is 248-792-3060. Shoot me an email, lisa@kdlawgroup.com, or through Messenger. Although I got to say, I'm kind of slow at answering the messengers, and sometimes I lose them. I'm just not very good at navigating that part of Facebook. Um, so anyway, all of that aside, beautiful day outside. Let's enjoy the rest of summer and today. And I will see you tomorrow, Friday already. Wow. Have a great day. Bye.